Emma, why does a woman's body count mean more than a man's body count, and yet we have essentially community dick walking around and demanding fidelity from women and demanding women have a body count under
community
3?
dick.
So why would community dick feel entitled to asking for the opposite from a woman?
Why would community dick feel entitled to asking for exclusivity from a woman?
Not exclusivity, but a
lower
body count.
A lower body count.
Yes.
Simple. We can first understand value. We can all agree that women are essentially born with value, with considerably more value than guys. And so, women's aim in life is to protect that value. A man's aim in life is to attain value. Because for men, because we are born with such little value, we attain value from the things we achieve, the experiences we have, the money that we make, and all of the levels that we level up as far as life is concerned. Women, on the other hand, are born on the pedestal, and then they have to ensure that they don't fall too far from the height of that pedestal. Now, if you were to look at the life of, let's say, a girl who starts out, she's a virgin, she's 20 years old, as she steps into the sexual marketplace, if she sleeps with more and more men, with each man that she sleeps with, she loses value. You get me? With each man she sleeps with, she loses value. But for a boy, with each girl he sleeps with, he gains value. Because for a man to be able to sleep with a woman, he has to go through a process of convincing her. But for a woman to sleep with a man, this is a much easier process than it is for a boy. So because it's a lot harder for a boy to sleep with a girl than it is for a girl to sleep with a guy, it's then the value is attached in the difficulty. If girls had a much harder time getting boys to sleep with them, then girls would be attaining value with every guy they sleep with. But that's not the case. The hardest thing for a girl in the context of a relationship is marriage, is attaining marriage. And boys have access to that. Boys are the ones who decide, okay, who do we date, who do we not date? Girls are the ones who decide who do we sleep with, who do we not sleep with. And so, if a girl is successful in convincing a guy to marry her, then she has succeeded in the sexual marketplace. If a boy succeeds in convincing a girl to sleep with him, he has succeeded in the sexual marketplace. And so, why there is a difference is because we are trying to get the hardest thing on the table. And the value is attached to the hardest thing on the table. And so for a guy, the hardest thing on the table to get is sex. For a girl, the hardest thing on the table to get is a relationship. And so if you are giving away your body, then you are basically attaining the easiest thing on the table. Thereby, there is no props for that. And so if you're a guy and you are getting into a relationship after a relationship because you're telling these girls that, oh, you see, I'll marry you, that is, again, nobody is giving you props on that. But if you're able to sleep with these girls, then you get the value. And also on top of that, women are more comfortable with a guy who has been around the block more times than they have, because they believe that a guy who has been around the block has picked up some level of experience and has a good understanding of what he's doing in the bedroom. However, men do not want to hear about whatever experience that women have picked up, because if she knows all of these things, as a man, you now have to think of all the guys she had to get this knowledge from. And that in itself is a turn off. And so, as guys, we are interested in relationships with girls who have as little knowledge as possible. And girls are interested in relationships with guys who have as much knowledge as possible.
Wow, that has opened up a slew of questions. So, I have one yes or no question for you based off what you said. You said, so let's say hypothetically speaking, right? You have a 29-year-old doctor, yeah?
Yeah.
She has attained a master's degree. She's licensed, she's working. Fully experienced, right? She has a body count of, let's say, 4. So with each man, her body count her value has apparently gone down. If you got a 29-year-old woman that's a virgin, that's unemployed, let's say she stopped at Form 4, but she, they're both equivalent, like approximately beautiful. Like their beauty is...
Yes.
Yeah.
They're both, let's say, 8.
But let's not use a scale, but let's, approximately that. Would you say that the 29-year-old woman has less value than the 29-year-old doctor has less value than the 29-year-old woman that, stopped at like Form 4, and is unemployed, but is a virgin? Yes or no? The question, it's a yes or no question. There's no explanation necessary. You just say that...
Is the virgin more... In this...
You see, the context is body count.
The context is body
count versus other accomplishments. Because you said a man picks up value with time, but a woman has to maintain her value at a certain pedestal. So...
The challenge with saying yes or no to that question is that ideally the answer should be the girl who is a virgin is the pick.
Thank you. Next question. Okay.
But if you were looking for a more serious relationship, the 29-year-old doctor would be a better pick. Because her body count is 4. And as much as we don't want to admit it, as guys, there is a body count that we can tolerate. Because there are other benefits on the table. Okay.
So from that statement alone, you have counteracted what you said earlier. Because said...
I understand that. But my original answer was the body count matters.
Yes, the body count matters. But what I'm saying you've counteracted is this idea that women are born on a pedestal and have to maintain it, while men have to create this sort of value for themselves. Yes. Because that doctor has created value for herself, essentially. Right? She has created a lot of value, significant amounts of value, because becoming a doctor is one of the greatest things you can do academically, right? So she has created value. So the idea that women do create value is also valid.
Yes and no. Can I explain that?
Okay.
Yes and no. Men generally are the ones who have to create value. And so because it is in our nature to consistently create value, when we are picking a mate, when we are picking a female, the idea of how much value she can create becomes a by the way, because it is not the primary thing that we're looking for. Because you could be a 29-year-old doctor, but you can be the most annoying babe in the world. And that in itself will annihilate you from the dating game. And you could be a 29-year-old P4 dropout.
And still be annoying.
And you'd be the most peaceful, most pleasant person to be around, and you will get the ring.
So the goal is the ring. Based off what you're saying, the goal is the ring.
For the woman, the goal is the ring. For the man, the goal is to get laid.
Okay.